Welcome back. We are now continuing on with our series of 0 to 60 in the Microsoft 365 tenant. So, following on from our last video, we did an overview of the M365 tenant and sort of focused on the admin center, the area in which you're going to be dropped in first. But we're going to continue now with covering the area of branding, something that is overlooked, sometimes an afterthought. And I think that it should really be one of the first things you think of because it has to do with user experience, and it goes a long way. It's kind of like if we use the car analogy again, that's what we've been doing with 0 to 60. You can do all you want under the hood, but if the car doesn't look clean, people don't care. And if you can clean the car and it's stock, but clean it amazingly, people care. And it's the same with branding. If we can get a uniform experience that looks professional across all the platforms so that the user experience is seamless, it's going to lead to a level of almost like a psychology behind it where people will think, wow, this is set up, this is professional, they know what they're doing straight away. It's a good way to look. It's a good way to set up and posture yourself towards success in an administrative role. So with that being said, let's get into this video. Defensive insights within a compressed format. So starting out in this video, we're in the admin center again, and the keen ones among you may have already noticed that there is branding that is evident here. I'm going to just quick fire and jump into these things. So if we go down to settings and we go to our organization settings, then we go over to organization profile, we can go to custom themes, and out of the box, you'll get a default theme, and you can just customize this, and that's going to be global. However, you can have other themes and make it that you can select them. So if we go into our default theme, we have these toggles here. Do we want to prevent users from overriding their theme? In which case, this is going to be the only theme. Yes. And do we want to show the user's display name? Okay, sweet. Yes, we want to show that. Then go over to logos, and you can upload a logo. So you can see here, that's where I've put that logo and uploaded it. And then if you wanted an alternative logo, you can, but you need a external accessible URL. However, in our use case, our logo works for both a light and dark background. So that's fine. We're going to leave it that way. And then if you want, you can also put a URL on the one-click link so that when your users click the actual logo, it can go to a link that you want specified, say maybe the help desk or maybe your website. For now, I've left that as default, just what Microsoft has got set up, which is to go to the Microsoft 365 homepage. Next is our colors. So this is the colors of the text and the navigation bar. So you can see here, I've set it up to have blue, and as you hold over, there's blue as well, and black bar. And this is all set up with dark mode in mind. And so you'll see here, it says it doesn't meet the minimum color contrast ratio. And that's something to keep in mind in a corporate setting. You do probably want to do that and just follow Microsoft's guidelines. But in the case that I'm using it and for trialing it, I'm in dark mode, contrast is fine. So that's where you get your first area of settings, and that's going to affect your admin center. But there's other areas too. So I've got these tabs open here, and you can see there's Entra, Intune, and Teams. We'll get into them in a minute, but while we're in the admin center, I want to show you something that I don't personally use, but in a big corporate setting, this is going to be amazing. It's going to just be so beautiful. And that's under our settings and organization settings. We can see there's an area called Brand Center. If we click on that, it's Microsoft's wizard to creating a Brand Center site in which you can have all your assets in one place, and they say that, the following location where brand managers will manage assets and resources across your apps in Microsoft 365. So this is like, hey, I want to have all my files for just branding available to the people that are necessary without having to rely on, say, a file share or a OneDrive link or an asset site that needs to be downloaded from. This is creating that, and it's a central way of being able to collaborate with the branding, and you can go as far as saying exact for this is going to be the color scheme, this is going to be the logos used, this is the light, dark, and different variations. So something that's really worth knowing about is this brand center. Next is Entra. So in your Entra, think, and we'll go over this in the next following videos, but think Entra as your identity or your IAM area. So your identity access management area, anything to do with identity, when you're authenticating, when you're logging in, you're thinking Entra. So this is going to be around the user experience of logging in, authenticating. You'll see it when it's asking you for an auth token. All of those areas, this is where we want to customize. So if we drop down our identity sub pane here and go show more, and then under our user experiences, go to company branding. And then within company branding, we've got this default sign-in. So default sign-in is there by default, and it will be empty with not much set up. In that, if we go and edit that, we can go and set a global default. And so we can choose a favorite icon, which will come up here. For me, I don't have a .ico, I believe is the format on it. It seems they also provide PNG. However, I haven't set that up at the time of this recording. That's something that you can go ahead and do. Then you can have a background image. So I've set that up. And then you can have the background color. So because I'm doing dark mode, I have that set as black. Next is your layout. So do you want to have it as a full screen background, or do you want to have it a partial screen background? Do you want to show the header, hide the header? Do you want to show the footer or hide the footer? So header and footer is handy if you need to have legal links. Is in my mind, that's probably the one area in which I would think, okay, turn that on and we'll enable some links there. Otherwise, to have a nice sort of seamless experience, I would leave it at default, and then you just get the box for the sign-in with a nice clear background that you've uploaded in the previous one. If you want to have custom CSS, you can also do that here. Next, you have your specific header and footer customization, and this is where you can have a logo in your header and in your footer, as well as in the footer, you can have privacy and cookies, terms of use. So that's sort of that legals that I was talking about. Next is the sign-in form. So this is the little box that's in the middle of all of it. And this is the area in which the user's interacting. So you're going to have a little banner logo that comes up, and that's going to be the top left from memory of that box. So you can put your logo there, and then the square variant for the light theme and dark theme. And then if you wanted to, you can actually go further than this and customize the username hint text, the sign-in page text, and then you can have some options around self-service password reset. All of these have been left as default in this environment. And next you can review it and then save. So if we go back to company branding now, in the use case that you have a company that has, say, a Spanish site, or they have customer service for Spanish speaking people as well as English, you might want to customize the branding specific to the language. And that's where the browser language customization comes in. So you can have different branding set determined by the user's browser language. And you can do all the things we just did, but specify it for the browser language. So that area is here. So that concludes our Entra ID branding, and we've also done our admin. But what about our endpoint? Well, with endpoints and in the Microsoft world, you use Intune. So Intune is the endpoint management platform. again, going over what we've had before, your admin center is your top of mind administration and user sort of licensing and billing, and then your Entra is your IAM, identity access management, and your Intune is your endpoint management. So now that we're on endpoint management, we want to go down to our tenant and administration on the left pane. Then under end user experiences, you'll see this area that says customization. If we go there, we'll see a default, and this is something that's applied globally. Again, you can create different customizations for different areas. Say if you have multiple sites, or like the example before, we had Spanish site or end user support versus English, you can have that set up for different branding, but we just have default. So within default, we're going to customize this. You can see here under properties, we'll click edit. And you can see we can have our organization name, our theme color, which is black in this case, and whether or not to show the organization logo and name, organization logo only, or organization name only in the header. Then you upload your relevant logo, and that's for a color background, and then for a white background, and then the brand image. And then if you wanted to have, say, a direct line of support that's available to people from their endpoint and that information just being there, you can put it under the support information. So you put their name, number, email address, website name, website URL, and additional information. So this is really good for an internal team. Say if you have one sub team that is your help desk, you might actually just put for contact name help desk, and then the phone number and the email address. The website name might be the internal URL for the help desk, and then any additional information. So too, if you're an MSP, you can fill out this information with the relevant support information for the MSP. Next is around enrollment. So this is really good to know that it's here. It's something that you don't think about that's in branding, but we have to touch on it because it's here. And that's around, do we want to allow our end user to enroll devices from their experience? And so we'll sort of discover this later, but what I want to do and what is best practice is to have least privilege, to have it set up that we don't allow our unprivileged users to do things that is privileged or otherwise they don't need. And we want to employ zero trust. So we want to say, look, we don't trust anything, turn it all off, and we want to only allow implicitly for the things that we do trust. So in this case, we don't want our end users to be able to enroll devices. We want our admins, our privileged users that know what they're doing, to enroll devices, because we are doing defense in depth, zero trust, and least privilege. So here we're going to say it's unavailable. You do have the options to be available with prompts or available no prompts. Next is your privacy URL. So I'm just pointing that to the free Wix site for BlueFolder.zip. And then if you wanted to, you can have a privacy message for the specific to the platform. Next is device categories. Do you want to let your users select the device category within the company portal? No. Again, this echoes back to, we want to have least privilege, zero trust, and not have our end users in control of something that they might not know what they're doing, which is just going to create more management overhead for the people that do know what they're doing and are in the administration roles. So we're going to block that. We're going to take that privilege away. And next we have our app sources. So which apps do we want to make available to be seen within company portal for our end users? Do we want it to show our enterprise applications, Office Online applications, or configuration management applications? So this is not necessarily a least privilege area. We'll go into this when we are covering our Entra portion. When we're covering our Intune portion. But essentially, we are saying what sort of apps do we want available to our end users to click? Do we want our users to have options to click certain apps from certain sources. And we do actually have more controls than what is available here. So in Entra, we can also choose whether it's visible or not, as well as for our Office Online applications and our configuration management applications all around assignment. And the Entra side we'll get into within our Entra portal series. But that's just something to know that it's here, that you can have that double sort of defense in depth if you want to hide it on 2 levels, or if you want to make it available elsewhere but not available through the company portal, then you can do that here. And next is hide features. So again, and you're going to see me echo on this over and over and over and over again, is we want to employ zero trust, defense in depth, least privilege. So with those questions and with those intents in our mind, we can answer the questions. Do we want to hide the reset button on a corporate Windows device? Yes. We're going to be managing the devices, which we'll cover later. We don't want our end users to be able to just reset a corporate device, because then you have an insider threat that's just waiting, or an accidental reset, and you don't need that. Administrators are going to be in control of this, and they can call their help desk if they need support. Next is, do we want to remove the button for corporate iOS and iPad devices? Yes. And next, reset. Yes. So least privilege, we don't need our end users to be doing this. They can put in a ticket request, or they can call, or they can talk to the relevant manager or department that then can help them, and they can document the process as it's being occurred, rather than haphazard and then our administration team having to follow up on it. And then we've got our review and save. So I'm just going to pause here to show what Company Portal is, in case you're not aware of it, and where these relevant areas are. So if we go down here, you'll see this little logo, and that's our Company Portal. We open that one up. It's going to try and sign in with my unprivileged user. Give it a bit of time to load. All right, and we get to see the name of the device that I'm on. We also see that there is the logo and the company name, in which case we saw we had the option of having either or both. And we can see that there's no apps, and you can see your IT administrator did not make any apps available to you. So that's those toggles. We can punch out to apps. If they were available, we'd see all our apps here. Downloads and updates. So this is specific to apps, and these are ones in which are pushed via Intune, and we'll cover this in our Intune portion. But you can see them here. You have options around reinstalling if available. And then the device itself, which can be clicked on to find more information, in which you can reset PIN, rename, quick access, as well as the information of the device that I'm on. And then help and support. So this is the area where you can have your support information available. And you can see for me, I've only filled out the website, which is just a link to BlueFolder.zip, but you have it here as well available to you. And then in settings, this is an area to keep in mind when you are trying to sync policies to an endpoint. You can push it from the admin portal, but you can also have the user go onto the company portal, click settings, and then click sync here. And this is going to be more of like a pull or a pulse out sort of thing to say, hey, I want to sync from the endpoint side. So if you do it from here and then also sync from the admin side, although there's a little bit of black box to how quick that sync happens, that's a manual way of saying, hey, I need this to sync pretty soon. So that's good to know that that's there as well. All right, so that concludes our Intune area on customization. Now we go on to our last area, and this is an area in which I've only recently found you can actually customize, to be honest, and that's Teams. So Teams is, if you're not aware, it's, Skype's just died, but it was like Skype, or Zoom if you use Zoom in your organization, and it is a collaboration tool where you can make calls, you can do meetings. I'm recording this video in Teams actually, so you can do things like this as well. It's an all-encompassing platform, and we will cover it in another video, but essentially you want to think of this as this is going to be your point of call when you have a client being onboarded if you're an MSP, or if you're an internal team, this is where you may have your training documentation, your meetings with your managers, any sort of things where you're going to have a meeting that's virtual, right? And you want to have that branded and looking really nice and polished. So within Teams, we want to go down to I'll just jump cut to this moment. Apologies for this. There is a new experience for the Teams admin portal, and that's something that I was familiar with this setting. So if you haven't changed over yet, just go down to Teams and go to your Teams settings, and you should see this little banner here. Go try the new experience. Go ahead and click that. That'll take you to the new experience for the admin portal. This is something that I'm more familiar with now. And within this area, we want to go to our themes and customization under our settings and policies. Then within our themes and customization settings, we have a few options. So I haven't actually set this up at the time of recording this video, and I'm going to go through and set that up with you. And some of the areas in which may take a bit of time, I'm going to fast forward. Okay, so we're going to jump cut over to this part, and now this has been completed. So if we go into our edit meeting theme, we can see we've uploaded a logo for the light and dark theme. In this case, it's just a black box with the logo BlueFolder.zip in the middle. And then we have our images for our meeting lobby for light theme and dark theme. They're going to be the same as well. And then we have our color that we want to choose for the buttons and other details in the meeting, in which case this is a black. We're going to actually go ahead and just change that to a blue. And if we click preview, we can see now that that is the preview in the light theme and the preview in the dark theme. So this is the area in which when someone's joining a meeting but hasn't been admitted, so they're in the lobby, they'll see this as the lobby theme, in which looks very professional if you are calling an external person, or even if you are, say, a hiring manager and need to make set up meetings for prospect employees. Next is the area underneath in which we want to set least privilege and not least privilege, sorry, zero trust and defense in depth, which is to apply a background blur when no effect is selected. We want to set that on and have that as a global checklist that's turned on. And that's because in the case that one of our internal team wants to make a call and they have sensitive information in their background and they haven't thought about it, we want to go ahead and make sure that it's blurred by default. And then on top of that, we want to allow our internal team to have background images that are branded from the organization available to them. And the one that I'm using now, that's my backdrop, I've just uploaded here. This is background alternative 2, and that's now available as a background image from my organization. You can see that's there. Then we're going to go ahead and click save and confirm. So that concludes this video. We have now completely branded our Microsoft tenant within our admin center, within Entra, within Intune, and within Teams. So we've got our admin center done for administration and billing and licensing and top of mind admin. And then we've also got our Entra, so IAM, identity access management. And anytime someone wants to authenticate, they're going to see our branding available to them. And then you've got your endpoint, so you're going to see branding on your endpoint as well as in company portal, which is great. And then Teams for our collaboration and meetings is now also branded. Now that we've done that, we're really ahead of a lot of other companies, and you'll be surprised at just having that difference is going to make you set up for success. And it's also going to aspire your team to go and actually do things in a better way, more professionally. They're going to see things that are branded with your logo, where they've only seen Microsoft in the past, and they're going to go, oh my gosh, this is really, high class, and we need to keep that level going. And it's those small little things that you do and you change that make you feel, okay, I have ownership over this product. And it is now polished to a point in which I can't do a bad job. I've got to do something that's good, and I've got to stand up to this. And that's what you want to include. You want to position yourself towards success. And so in the next video, we're going to start going over the individual portals, and we're going to go 0 to 60 on each portal. And we're going to start with the admin portal. Yes, we've gone over it in brief, but we're going to go over it in depth. And we're going to have a look about positioning ourselves towards success and doing the best that we can to get 0 to 60. So thanks for watching this video. Please, please, please let me know what you think about this video, areas in which could be improved, any areas you want to see more in depth, and any feedback, good or bad. So thanks for watching.